My grandfather's clock never stops ticking. My grandfather's clock doesn't just tell time, it tells secrets. And when the ticking gets louder, someone in the house doesn't wake up. The first sound I hear when I return to my grandfather's house is the clock. That sharp, steady tick, echoing through the hallways like a heartbeat that doesn't belong to anyone living. It's been 15 years since I last stepped inside, but nothing has changed. The air is still heavy with dust, the wallpaper peeling in long strips like dried skin, and the smell of wood polish clings to the silence. But the clock, it's louder than I remember. Grandfather's clock stands in the corner of the sitting room, taller than me, its wooden frame etched with swirling patterns of ivy and roses, long faded to shadows. Its brass pendulum swings back and forth, endlessly, as though time itself bows to its command. What unsettles me most isn't the ticking. It's the memory of my grandfather's voice, rasping and low, when he warned me as a child, "Never stop the clock, no matter what you hear. If it ticks, you're safe. If it stops, you run." I used to laugh at that. But standing here now, with the house swallowing every other sound, the words scrape at the edges of my mind. I run my fingers along the side of the clock. It's ice cold, far colder than the air of the house. My reflection wavers faintly in the glass, but for a second, I swear I see something else, a shadow moving behind me. When I turn, the room is empty. The ticking grows louder, pressing against my skull. I came back here for a reason. Grandfather passed away 2 weeks ago, and as his only living relative, the house and everything inside it belonged to me. But I didn't come for inheritance. I came because of the stories whispered at his funeral. Neighbors muttering about screams at night, strange figures watching from the windows, and how the clock never once faltered, even after he died. That night, as I prepare to sleep in one of the upstairs bedrooms, the ticking follows me. No matter how far I walk, no matter how many doors I close, it pulses steadily, as though the clock itself beats inside my chest. But just before midnight, it changes. The ticking slows. Not much, but enough to notice. Then, beneath it, faint and deliberate, another sound joins in, like fingernails tapping on wood. And from downstairs, through the silence of the old house, I hear a whisper. "Why did you come back?" I freeze in the upstairs hallway, every muscle locked as that whisper snakes through the house. It's faint, stretched thin, like someone speaking through water, but I know I heard it. "Why did you come back?" The ticking clock continues below, steady again, as if mocking me. I grip the banister, listening for movement, but the house is still. The walls creak with age, the pipes groan faintly, yet the voice lingers in my head, refusing to fade. I force myself down the staircase, each step slow, deliberate, until I reach the sitting room once more. The grandfather clock stands motionless in the corner, no longer just furniture, but a presence, watching. Its pendulum swings, unbroken. I lean in, pressing my ear close to the glass, half expecting to hear the whisper again. Instead, I hear a sound like breathing. Shallow, uneven, coming from inside the clock. I stumble back, knocking over a chair. The crash echoes, but the pendulum doesn't stop. My heart pounds as the house absorbs the noise and spits it back in silence. Then, almost casually, the clock chimes once, though it isn't on the hour. The sound is low, metallic, almost mournful. That's when I notice something carved into the base of the clock. I never remembered it being there as a child. Kneeling, I trace the letters with my hand, my skin prickling as I spell it out. As long as I tick, the shadows stay bound. A chill crawls through me. Grandfather's warning slams back into focus. Never stop the clock. Never. Suddenly, the lights flicker overhead. The shadows in the corners stretch too far, reaching across the floor like black water. I stagger back as one shadow rises, tall and crooked, shaped like a man but wrong, its arms too long, its head bent at an unnatural angle. It doesn't move toward me. It only leans closer to the clock, as though listening. The pendulum swings faster, desperate, like the clock itself fears what might happen if it slows. The air is freezing now, my breath visible in sharp clouds. I whisper, my voice trembling, "Grandfather, what did you do?" The shadow jerks. Slowly, its head turns toward me, though it has no face, just a hollow void where features should be. And yet, I feel it staring, pinning me in place. Then it speaks in that same watery whisper. "Tick, Talk. You're already late. The shadow doesn't advance, but its presence is suffocating. My chest tightens as though invisible hands are pressing down, forcing me to kneel. The clock's pendulum thrashes back and forth, the ticking now frantic, panicked, as though it understands the danger better than I do. And then, as suddenly as it appeared, the shadow collapses, seeping back into the floor like spilled ink. The lights steady. The house is still again. Only the clock remains, ticking at its usual pace. I stagger backward, gasping for air, every nerve raw. My instincts scream at me to leave, to run into the night and never return. But something keeps me rooted. Grandfather's warning wasn't just superstition, it was protection. The clock isn't simply keeping time, it's holding something back. I need answers. I search the sitting room, rifling through drawers and cabinets, until I find a small iron key tucked inside a box of old photographs. My grandfather's face stares up from one picture, stern, unsmiling, eyes shadowed as if hiding something. On the back of the photo, scrawled in faded ink, are words that freeze my blood. Do not open what I locked inside. My gaze shifts to the clock. The key feels heavy in my hand, as though it knows where it belongs. For hours, I wrestle with myself. Curiosity gnaws at me, sharp and relentless. If something is locked within the clock, then maybe it explains the shadow, the whispers, the fear that seeped into the walls of this house. But every part of me knows opening it is a mistake. By midnight, the ticking has grown louder again, so loud it rattles my teeth. I can't take it anymore. With trembling fingers, I fit the key into a small slot beneath the face of the clock. The mechanism resists at first, then gives way with a hollow click. The pendulum halts. The ticking stops. The silence is worse than the noise. It stretches, heavy and unnatural, pressing down on the house until it feels like the walls themselves are listening. Then I hear it, the unmistakable sound of footsteps upstairs. Slow, deliberate, pacing the hallway outside the room where I tried to sleep earlier. But I know every door was locked. I know I am alone in this house. The footsteps stop, and from the top of the stairs, a voice calls down. It's my grandfather's voice. You shouldn't have done that. The voice freezes me where I stand. My grandfather had been buried for 2 weeks, yet his words roll down the staircase with chilling clarity. You shouldn't have done that. The silence after is unbearable. The clock stands still, pendulum frozen mid-swing, its face blank and cold. My skin prickles with the certainty that something has shifted, that the balance holding this house together has cracked. Then the air thickens. It feels heavier, harder to breathe, as though invisible smoke fills the room. The shadows in the corners swell, stretching wider, spilling across the floor like a tide of black water. And from those shadows, figures begin to rise. At first, they're formless, writhing shapes that twitch and bend unnaturally. But as I watch, they sharpen into human outlines. Dozens of them, standing shoulder to shoulder, their hollow faces turned toward me. Some are tall, some stooped, but all of them drip darkness, their limbs too thin, their fingers too long. One by one, they open their mouths, and a chorus of whispers floods the room. Not words at first, just a low hiss, like air escaping from 1,000 lungs. Then, slowly, the whispers form into a single dreadful chant. Time is ours. Time is free. I stumble back, clutching the arm of a chair, my mind spinning. The clock wasn't just a timepiece. It was a prison. Grandfather's warning, his obsession, his life, it all makes sense now. He kept these things bound, sealed behind the endless ticking. And I, in my stupidity, opened the door. The whispers swell until they become screams, voices shrieking in agony and triumph. The figures step forward, their movements jerky, unnatural, like marionettes pulled by unseen strings. I try to run, but the air feels thick, sticky, dragging at my limbs. My grandfather's voice cuts through the chaos again, but it's different this time, closer, angrier. You've doomed us all. I spin toward the stairs, and there he is. My grandfather, or what's left of him. His body is pale, stretched too thin, his skin sagging like wax left in the sun. His eyes are gone, replaced by empty sockets that weep black tears. Yet his mouth twists into something like a smile as he descends, each step echoing louder than the last. Behind him, the figures move in unison, drawn to the silence of the clock. Their hollow faces tilt toward it, reverent, hungry. And I realize the truth. The ticking never belonged to the clock. It was their heartbeat. The morning came gray and brittle, as though the world itself had been drained of color. My hands trembled when I reached for the old clock. Its face seemed almost smug, the pendulum swaying with mechanical calm, as though it knew what it had done. The tick-tock was louder than ever, like hammer blows driving nails into a coffin. I wanted to smash it, hurl it against the wall until wood and glass shattered into silence. But when I raised the hammer, my arms locked in place. The clock's steady rhythm froze me, whispering in my mind, "You cannot end what does not end." Suddenly, the air thickened. A shadow peeled itself from the wall, long and distorted, the outline of a man I recognized instantly, my grandfather. His hollow eyes fixed on me, his lips curled into a half-smile. He raised a finger to his lips, hushing me, then pointed toward the clock. The pendulum stopped. For a heartbeat, there was silence. Relief surged through me, until the hands of the clock spun wildly backward. The ticking returned, but now it matched my heartbeat, slowing it, pulling me deeper into a rhythm I could not escape. My vision blurred, the room swaying like a sinking ship. I collapsed to the floor, gasping. And then, I wasn't in my room anymore. I stood in a dim, endless hallway lined with clocks of every shape and size. Some were cracked, others pristine, but all ticked in unison, their sound deafening. Shadows drifted between them, men, women, children, all moving stiffly as though puppets. Their faces were pale, eyes empty, their movements timed to the relentless beat of the clocks. One of them turned toward me. My heart nearly stopped. It was my mother. Her lips moved, but no sound came. Still, I knew what she was saying, "Join us." I screamed, running down the corridor, but no matter how far I went, the hallway stretched on forever. The clocks leaned toward me, their hands reaching like claws, and the shadows closed in. When I finally fell, the pendulum swung before my eyes. Tick, tock, tick, tock. I woke in my bed, or so I thought. The house was silent, too silent. I rushed to the living room. The clock stood waiting, its hands frozen at midnight. Yet the ticking continued, louder than ever, echoing inside my skull. And then, I understood. The clock hadn't kept my grandfather alive. It hadn't trapped my mother. It had been feeding, marking each generation, one heartbeat at a time. Now it was my turn. The pendulum swayed. Tick, tock, tick, tock. And no matter how tightly I shut my eyes, it never stops.